right? And you've been working at this job for years, and then the manager is leaving, and then someone who just started working a week ago gets promoted to the title of manager. Like, that's just
Yeah,
unjust. And so
that's
even though in the timeline of the MCU, she's technically
like the first Avenger.
well, no, she's the second Avenger because Captain America is in the 40s. So
Yeah.
Captain America is still the first Avenger. Captain America is still my captain. That's until
Yes.
maybe after the events of Endgame, we'll see.
I don't know.
But yeah, it just seems unwarranted to have her just be like a Deus Ex Machina character where she's just all powerful, and we don't really get. Oh, another thing we got to touch on: the Tesseract. No business
Yeah,
being in
I
this
was
movie.
like, what is it
To
doing?
talk about continuity problems, this while the Tesseract was recovered in the 40s when they were looking for Captain America, you're telling me that Howard Stark just
Lost
misplaced
it for a
it?
bit. Yeah.
Unless Annette Bening,
Stolen.
who plays Marvel, and she's a Kree, but she's working for Shield. Here's an interesting thing I saw, that the reason why Howard Stark was assassinated was because Howard Stark was still Shield. So Hydra was infiltrating Shield, right, in the
Yeah.
90s and throughout history. And so Howard Stark was obviously still Shield. He was never part of Hydra. And so people are saying that the reason Hydra sent the Winter Soldier to kill Howard Stark was because Howard Stark knew the location of the Tesseract and he wouldn't tell Hydra, and that's a secret he took to the grave with him. That kind of thing I think is really cool. The fact
Yeah.
that, like, oh, Howard Stark knew he was working with Marvel and he knew the Tesseract was out in space, and that's why, because he wouldn't tell the Shield agents who were really Hydra, because he wouldn't tell them, that's why he was assassinated. That kind of thing where it ties everything together. That is well done continuity, something I applaud and something I get excited for. But when you don't explain that, and the fact that it's just in space, and if you're new to the Marvel universe and you're like, oh, I want to see this, I want to see Brie Larson in a superhero movie, they never give you any reason as to why the Tesseract is all powerful. It's just a blue cube, and you're told this is powerful. Agree with us,
Yeah,
like, you know.
if you haven't seen the movies before, you don't even know the Infinity Stone's in there.
Yeah, you don't know that this movie, that the Tesseract was, what do they call it when there's a token that kind of drives the plot forward?
MacGuffin?
The MacGuffin. You don't know that this is like the whole MacGuffin of the first Captain America movie. You don't know that this is what Loki is after in the first Avengers movie, and why it's, in Odin's vault in the future Thor movies. So that kind of thing, just poor execution. And yeah, going forward, areas of improvement. We've kind of touched on a lot of them. When we get a Captain Marvel sequel, and when we get Captain Marvel in the Avengers movie, what kind of areas of improvement, Mike, do you want to see moving forward with Captain Marvel?
I just want to see her as like an interesting character who has her own like unique personality. I guess like you could say her personality right now is like stoic, or kind of just like has no personality.
Sure.
But I think that's kind of an issue. Like, I want to see like her do stuff that's like interesting, like have her characterization and watch her like fail so she can redeem herself. Like, it just feels like she can't fail. She's the best thing in the world. Like, you say she's bad, or too bad, because she's the best. Like, there's no way to make a character, because like it's just one note and boring. No one likes that.
Yeah.
And I get that it's like a feminist movie, but you can like, there are plenty of feminist movies out there that show like hardships and then redemption, not just like they like go in her mind and it's like, oh, she was like oh, the whole cockpit thing, like that happened to her, but she's over it because she's the best now. Like, it didn't feel like we like learned or like grew with Carol. We just kind of like were told she's the best in the beginning, and we proved that she's the best at the end of the movie. And I really, really hope that she isn't like running laps around the other Avengers. Like, I hope everyone like their powers still matter, and like she's not just like the MacGuffin of the end game. Like, I hope that doesn't happen, because that would completely ruin the movie for me.
Yeah, one thing I will say about Endgame is I'm definitely going into that movie not letting any gripes I have about Captain Marvel ruin my experience, because this is a cinematic event. It's the culmination of 22 films, and so I'm very much trying to go into that movie of, I trust the Russos. I think that, they've been in the MCU since The Winter Soldier. They've directed, in my personal opinion, 3 of my top 4 MCU movies ever. So they know what they're doing, and I trust them that they're not going to just make Captain Marvel, this MacGuffin, all-powerful being and all that. I agree with you, Mike, in that we need to see her struggle for sure. We need to see her overcome stuff. The comparisons to Thor in the sense that she's all-powerful, the thing is we can, relate to Thor because we see that scene in Infinity War. He's lost so much. Even though he's this god being, he's human in the sense that, he's lost his dad, his mother, his brother, his best friend, his girlfriend, every aspect of his life, he deals with loss. And so even though he's all powerful, just because you can, kick Thanos' ass, that doesn't mean that you're, all emotionally stable and all that. So we need to see some more emotion, some more, history with Captain Marvel.
We know that Brie Larson can do an emotional performance.
Yeah.
She won an Oscar for it. So why not let her do it? Because she can do it. I'm sure she can do it. She just needs better writing and better directing.
Absolutely. And as you said, with better directing, that's another thing, areas of improvement for me. I think we need a new director. I'm not going to lie. Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, I think they completely dropped the ball with this movie. I don't want to see them return for the sequel. I understand that, directors make bad movies, but this is the Marvel Universe we're talking about. A lot of first-time directors.
It can't be a bad movie.
A lot of first-time directors in the MCU, the Russos, crushed it with the Winter Soldier, and then they were, trusted to take on the Avengers. We saw Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor. A lot of people don't care for the first Thor. I really like the first Thor. He didn't come back for the sequel, and it kind of showed because that was a divisive movie.
Yeah,
I think we should
hate the Dark World.
I think the Dark World is there's appreciation to be had, but we can get into that movie on another episode. But yeah, a lot of first time directors. John Watts, who directed Spider-Man: Homecoming, he came back for the sequel because everyone loved that movie. Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck, I do not want to see them returning to the MCU. I just don't think that the MCU directors are comic book fans. As many gripes as I have about Thor: Thor Ragnarok. The movie just wasn't what I wanted, but I can recognize that it's a good movie, and Taika Waititi comes off as a fan of the Marvel Universe. Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, I don't think they have the director charisma, the director it factor to continue.
You know who I'd like to see direct a Marvel movie? Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Kevin Smith would be amazing.
Because he got a cameo, kind of, sort of, in the movie. Stan Lee was reading his lines for the actual movie that he was in. That it was a Kevin Smith movie, which was a cool little touch there.
Yeah,
Stan Lee's cameo and then a cameo for something.
Yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, I lost Mike again, but we are getting him back right now. Mike, we good?
I think he'd be a great choice for a director for something. I'd like to see him step in. I don't know where, but I think he'd be a good director because he's the biggest comic book fan of them all. Yeah,
one that there's no way they can get because she's tied down to the other female-led superhero. Patty Jenkins would be an amazing director for this movie. I think that she would understand the character of Carol Danvers.
James Gunn's directing for both series now. I don't see why Patty Jenkins couldn't come over for the sequel. Because I would love to see her direct a Captain Marvel movie.
That would be really cool. And then we'll just do a quick little blockbuster recast, imagining how we would do this movie differently. We'll do this with all movies going forward, whether we like the movie or not. Just other actors we could see in specific roles. I don't think we can really recast Nick Fury in this movie because we've seen him so much, and Samuel L. Jackson is the only actor that can play Nick Fury.
He's Nick Fury.
But focusing on Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, one actress that I think deserved this role and would have been phenomenal is Charlize Theron. We've seen her in many action movies. Mad Max Fury Road. She was in Fast and the Furious 8. Atomic Blonde. She is an action movie star, and I think she would have shined in this role. A lot of people saying that she was too old. I believe she's 43, but that was the same age as Robert Downey Jr. when he started as Iron Man. So even though this movie is set in the 90s, she has Kree blood, so she ages slower. So you could just make Carol Danvers in the 90s actually be, a 30-year-old and just de-age Charlize Theron a little bit. And then by the time she's set in the present day, just have her be regular Charlize Theron. But, I think she would have been amazing in this role. I don't think this is the role for Brie Larson. I'm hoping Endgame proves me wrong. I'm hoping any sequels prove me wrong. But, yeah, in terms of would I recast Brie Larson, knowing what I know now, absolutely. And then, Mike, your thoughts on recasting.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Like, the more I think about it, like, I don't think I'm going to have an answer for this until I see Endgame.
Sure.
Because I don't think Captain Marvel gave her a fair chance to prove anything yet. I think, like, as we've talked about it throughout the podcast, I think the writing could have been better, the directing could have been better, and those really impact an actor's performance. I want to see what she does in Endgame. I want to see how she uses the character. And if she improves herself in Endgame, then I'd say stick with her, because I think she definitely looks the part perfectly. And I think they're right about Charlize Theron being a little too old. I think they did need a younger actress to do this. Captain Marvel isn't an older superhero. Iron Man you can put as an older age. I think she could be perfect for this. I just need to see her do it again. But if she does the same performance in Endgame, I think I'd look for a different actress. Personally, I don't think they're ever going to recast her. I don't think Marvel is going to do that. They just stop making the movies if they ever flop, which I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, another issue with Charlize Theron, I guess, is Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, I think it's a rumor, I don't know if it's confirmed, but apparently she signed a 9-movie deal, and she is a young actress. She has a short filmography. She's really just becoming an A-lister at this point in her career. So the fact that Marvel got her right after she won Best Actress, she was cast, if you'll remember, back, I believe, in 2016.
Yeah, she was casted when she was 26, and she's 29.
Yeah, so they couldn't get Charlize Theron because she's now 43, or she's either 43 no, she's 43. She's not 53, excuse me. But there's no way they could get an A-lister like Charlize Theron signed to 9 movies at this point in her career because she's an A-lister. She has so much else to do. The fact that they got someone like Brie Larson because they know that they can lock her down to a lot of movies, and it's not going to be too hard for negotiating because, she's not someone... I mean, it's hard for us to be like, why would you ever deny 9 movies with Marvel? Like, that's so cool. But Charlize Theron, she obviously has other stuff she wants to do in her career. So getting someone like that who's 43, who probably doesn't want to be doing a ton of action movies too late in her career, because 9 movies, that's probably going to be spread out over the course of, till 2030, honestly. So We'll see where it goes. But yeah, I'm hoping Brie Larson can improve in Endgame and in a future sequel. And before we get into our score out of 10, Mike, where does this rank for you in the 21 MCU films?
I would have to say it's going to have to be down closer to the bottom with Thor: The Dark World, even though I haven't seen that in a while. So I don't know, but I don't think it's I do think it's going to have to be closer to the bottom for me. I don't think it could. If the movie did what the beginning of the beginning of Captain Marvel was great. If it kept on doing that, I think it would be much higher. But as we've talked about, it steeply declines. I'm going to have to say it's in the bottom of the barrel. Not the barrel, but bottom of the list for me.
Yeah, mine, I don't have a set ranking yet, but it's definitely in the bottom 3 for me. The only movie currently I can think of that I would put it above is The Incredible Hulk, because that's so forgettable of a movie.
I like The Incredible Hulk.
I'm not too crazy about it, but nonetheless, when I think about other trilogies, I enjoy all of the Thor trilogy more. I enjoy all of Captain America, all of Iron Man more. I enjoy Doctor Strange more, Black Panther, all the Avengers movies, and it's just... For this movie with rewatchability, I can't see myself wanting to really revisit it unless, I want to see more Nick Fury young scenes.
I'll still definitely buy it on Blu-ray because I own all the other ones and it helps me rewatch them, but I don't know how much I'm going to watch it again after I watch it a second time on Blu-ray.
All right, with that being said, we are coming close on time, so just a quick score out of 10. My score out of 10, I'm going to go with a 5.2. I believe that's the score I gave it on Twitter when I first came out. 5.2, right around the average for me. Not too crazy about this movie. Like the first act, a lot of fun, but really drops the ball after the Skrull twist and Brie Larson's uninspiring performance, in my opinion. Mike, score?
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 6.1. I think it sits there. I don't think it's an average movie. I think it is a little bit above average because the beginning is actually really cool and really fun, but it decreases too far to become anything but an average movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, that's our Captain Marvel review. Be sure to join us next Wednesday for more news with our news episode, and then we will be doing another movie next Friday. That's kind of up in the air, but thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.